One of the biggest gaming discourse storms of 2026 revolves around Mixtape, a narrative-driven indie game that received glowing reviews from critics but sparked intense backlash from players online almost immediately after release. What started as excitement over a stylish coming-of-age game quickly turned into accusations that the game is overrated, barely a game, and another example of critics rewarding cinematic experiences over actual gameplay. Mixtape was released on May 7th, 2026, developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur, and published by Annapurna Interactive. The game is heavily inspired by 1980s coming-of-age movies, especially the work of John Hughes, and follows a group of teenagers spending their final night together before graduation. The game's structure revolves around memory-like sequences tied together through music and stylized visuals. Players move through a series of mini-games and cinematic moments involving skateboarding, kissing mechanics, shopping cart rides, slushy pouring, leaf raking, and other nostalgic activities. Its soundtrack became one of the game's biggest selling points, featuring music from artists like the Smashing Pumpkins, Portishead, The Cure, and Devo. Critics absolutely loved it. Several major outlets gave Mixtape perfect or near-perfect scores, including IGN, DualShockers, and Gaming Trend. On review aggregation sites, critic scores stayed very high, with many reviewers praising the emotional storytelling, atmosphere, soundtrack, and presentation. Some critics even started calling it an early Game of the Year contender. But as clips of the gameplay spread across X, TikTok, YouTube, and Reddit, backlash exploded. The biggest criticism centered around the claim that the game plays itself. Viral clips showed gameplay sections where players barely needed to interact at all. In one widely shared scene, a character runs through obstacles in an infinite runner-style sequence. But even when the player intentionally crashes into everything, the game continues automatically without failure. Another viral clip showed players letting go of the controller entirely during a shopping cart chase while still succeeding. These clips quickly became meme material. People started joking that Mixtape should come bundled with a controller that has no buttons. Others sarcastically described the game as a movie pretending to be a video game. Streamers and creators amplified the criticism further by intentionally not touching their controllers during gameplay sections to demonstrate how little input was required. The backlash also exposed a larger divide in gaming culture between cinematic narrative games and traditional gameplay-focused design. Supporters argued that Mixtape was never trying to be a difficult skill-based experience and should instead be judged like an interactive emotional journey. Critics, however, argued that if gameplay mechanics barely matter, then calling it a game at all becomes questionable. The controversy intensified because of the game's overwhelmingly positive review scores. Many players accused gaming journalists of inflating scores for artistic indie games while dismissing flaws that would heavily hurt other genres. IGN Sen 10 review became a particular target online, with people joking that whenever IGN gives something a perfect score, it's usually a warning sign. The discourse also drifted into internet conspiracy territory. Some users claimed the praise was artificially boosted because the game was published by Annapurna Interactive, whose founder Megan Ellison is the daughter of Larry Ellison. That led to accusations of industry plant marketing, astroturfing, and Oscar bait game design aimed more at critics than players. At the same time, plenty of people genuinely connected with the game emotionally. Fans praised its soundtrack, nostalgic atmosphere, stylized visuals, and portrayal of teenage friendship and memory. For many players, the simplicity was intentional. The gameplay wasn't supposed to challenge reflexes, but instead reinforce the dreamy, cinematic tone. Ultimately, the Mixtape backlash became much bigger than one indie game. It evolved into another chapter in the long-running debate over what players actually want from modern games. Cinematic storytelling experiences, traditional gameplay depth, or some balance between the two. The conversation also highlighted growing distrust between gaming audiences and professional game critics, especially whenever a heavily artistic game receives universal praise from media outlets while dividing players online.